You know, we're surrounded by things we just trust, without even a second thought. The building you're in right now, the bridge you drove over this morning. But what is that trust actually built on? Well, it's a kind of hidden layer of protection, an invisible shield. And we're about to show you exactly what it's made of.
Okay, so think about this. When you're driving over a massive bridge, what actually gives you the confidence that it's safe? You probably don't even think about it, right? And that's exactly the point. You just trust that it's going to hold up. But let's dig in and ask, why?
Well, the answer is that the bridge, and more importantly, the person who designed it, are protected by what we're calling an invisible shield. Now, this isn't magic. It's a very real, very carefully constructed system of rules. So let's pull back the curtain and see how all the pieces fit together.
All right, first up, let's look at the most visible part of this shield, what it actually represents. It's all about trust.
When you see letters like P.Eng after someone's name, it's not just a fancy credential. It's a public promise. It's a signal that this person has the right education, they've got the real-world experience, and they're legally bound by a strict code of ethics. In short, it's a legally protected guarantee that they know what they're doing and that they're accountable for their work.
But here's the thing. This shield, it's actually made of two distinct but equally important halves. To really get how it works, we need to look at the two legal ideas that give it all its strength, the right to a title and the right to practice.
So the first half is the right to title. It's actually pretty simple. You can't legally call yourself a professional engineer, or even just use the word engineer in a professional way, unless you've earned the license. The whole point of this rule is to stop people from being misled, to protect the credibility of that title.
And the second half, that's the exclusive scope of practice. Now, this isn't about what you call yourself, it's about what you're actually allowed to do. It identifies certain high-stakes jobs, like designing a dam or mapping the geology for a new mine, that only a licensed professional is legally permitted to perform. This is what directly protects public safety. It ensures competence right where it matters most.
Okay, so let's put these side by side, because this is where it all clicks. The right to title is all about stopping deception. Think of someone putting engineer on their business card when they don't have a license. But the scope of practice is about stopping danger, like an unqualified person trying to design the structure for a new hospital. One protects you from getting fooled, the other protects you from getting hurt.
So if this shield is so powerful, who's in charge of it? Who are the guardians actually making and enforcing all these rules? That's the next piece of this puzzle.
In Canada, the guardians are actually self-governing professional associations in each province and territory, like P.Geo in Ontario or I.3.5 in Alberta. They've been given legal authority by the government to basically act as the gatekeepers for the profession. They're the ones who set the standards, who enforce the code of ethics, and who have the power to go after anyone who breaks the rules.
Which, of course, brings up a really important question. A shield is great and all, but it's only as good as its ability to hold up when it's tested. So what actually happens when someone tries to get around it?
Well, when one of these associations finds out someone is illegally using a title or practicing without a license, the response is serious and it follows a clear path. It all starts with an investigation, which can very quickly lead to a legal cease and desist order. And if that's ignored, it can end up in court with some pretty big fines and even prosecution. So yeah, this isn't just a slap on the wrist. We're talking about a legal process with real teeth.
And you see this pop up in some pretty surprising places today. I mean, take the tech industry, where the job title software engineer is thrown around all the time. Legally, in Canada, that title is regulated. If the job involves actual engineering principles and could impact public safety, it has to be held by a licensed P.Eng. This creates a really interesting conflict and shows just how seriously these groups take title protection.
And what's really important to get is that this enforcement works in two directions. The associations police the public to stop illegal practice, absolutely, but they also police their own members. If a licensed engineer is negligent or acts unethically, they face an internal discipline process that could lead to suspension or even losing their license for good. The shield really does protect us from threats on both the outside and the inside.
So after all that, why? Why go to all this trouble? Why does this complicated legal shield even exist in the first place? Well, the answer is actually really simple, and it's incredibly important. I mean, just for a second, imagine a world without it. You'd have completely unqualified people designing things like bridges and power grids. The reputation of truly skilled professionals would be worthless. And most importantly, public trust would completely disappear, and there'd be no way to hold anyone accountable when things inevitably went wrong.
When you boil it all down, All the rules, the associations, the enforcement, the whole shebang, it all exists for one single overriding reason: to protect the public.
So here it is, the key takeaway. Title protection guarantees credibility so you can have confidence in the person. Practice exclusivity ensures competence so you can have confidence in their work. And together, they create that shield that keeps our world safe.
It's a pretty powerful system, right? Just humming along silently in the background of our lives, which kind of makes you wonder, now that you know what to look for, where else do you see this invisible shield at work? What other professions rely on it to protect you every single day?